Hey everyone, welcome to Charger Games. This is Raja and this is another Unity C# scripting tutorial. So in this video we're gonna learn how we can actually load different scenes or different levels in Unity. So in your game you always have to load different scenes or different levels. As an example, let's say in your game you have level 1, level 2, level 3 and like that, and you want your player to go to different levels whenever they get a particular amount of score. Let's say when your player gets 50 it goes to level 1, level 2, when it gets 100 it goes to level 3, and it goes on like that. Okay, now there are other instances where you also want to load new scenes or new levels. As an example, let's say you have a menu in your game. Okay, so from the menu, whenever the player presses the play button, you want him to go to the actual game or the game scene or the game level. Okay, now the menu scene here is also a level, and whenever he presses the play button you want him to go to another level, which is the game level or game scene. And whenever the player dies, then you want him to go to another scene, which is the game over scene. Okay, so as you can see that in your game you always have to load different scenes whenever you want them to load it. Okay, so we should learn ways by which you can load different scenes whenever you want. So this is what we're gonna be learning in this video. We're gonna be learning how we can move from one scene to another scene or from one level to another level, and in the end we're gonna learn about how we can load scenes in different modes. We have two different modes in which you can load scenes. Either we can load only one scene and unload all of the scenes, or we can load two different scenes at the same time. Okay, so we're gonna learn all that in this video. So with that being said, let's get started quickly. So first of all, I'm gonna create a new scene. So I'm gonna go to File, New Scene, and this is a new scene. So I'm gonna quickly save this scene. So File, Save Scene, and I'm gonna name this scene, let's say level 1, so that we can actually understand where we are loading these levels. So I'm gonna save this scene. As you can see here, I have this level 1. So let's say I wanna make another level or another scene. So I go to File, New Scene, and then I'm gonna save scene, and I'm gonna name this one level 2, and then I'm gonna save. So now as you can see, I have these two levels, level 1 and level 2. Okay, so these are the two scenes that I want to go to. So let's say I want to go from level 1 to level 2, or I want to go to level 2 to level 1. So let me go ahead and create a new separate folder for these scenes. So create a new folder, and I'm gonna name it Scenes, and I'm gonna move my level 1 and level 2 both to this scenes folder. Okay, so now inside this scenes folder I have these two scenes. Okay, so if I want to load any particular scene, I can just double click on that scene to load it in our editor. So let's say I want to load the level 1, so I can double click that, and now I have level 1 loaded. As you can see from here, it is level 1 on Unity, and if I double click on level 2, now we can see I have this level 2.unity loaded. So let's open the level 1 first. So let's open the level 1. Okay, now how can we differentiate between these scenes? So in order to differentiate between these scenes, let me create any game object in the scene by which you can actually learn that it is in this scene, and whenever it goes to another scene we can know that it is in another scene. Okay, so let me create UI and a text. So let me create a UI text, and what I can do is I can place this text in a position where we can actually see it. So let's make the X, Y, and Z positions 0, 0, 0, and now as you can see the text is in center, and now I can just change the color to white. Okay, and I can also make the font size a bit bigger. It's not necessary, but I just wanna do that. Oh, let's make it 20. Okay, so this is this one. So now selecting the text, just select the text property and I can name it level 1. So now whenever the level 1 loads, we will know that this is level 1 or level 1 has been loaded. Okay, so now our task has been almost finished. So now what I can do is now we can create a new script and attach it to level 1 so that whenever we do something we can go to level 2. Okay, so let me go ahead and create an empty game object, and I'm gonna name this empty game object scene loader. Okay, then I'm gonna select that, click on add component, new script, and I'm gonna name it scene loader script, and then I'm gonna press create and add. Okay, so now as you can see, this scene loader script has been added to this scene. So now I'm gonna just double click it to open it in MonoDevelop. So as you can see, it has been loaded in MonoDevelop. So now we're gonna write some code by which we will actually load level 2 from this level. Okay, so what I want to do is, in my update function, I want to check if I'm pressing the space key, and whenever I'm pressing the space key, I want to load that scene 2 or level 2. Okay, so I'm gonna say if input dot get key code dot space. So whenever I'm pressing the space key, what I wanna do, whenever I'm pressing the space key, I want to load that level. So I want to load that level, and we're gonna write the necessary codes here. So how can we load the level? So before we can load any level, we have to add these levels to our game build. So what is this game build? These game builds are the levels that are going to build whenever we're gonna build the game and play it in our devices. So whenever we are playing it in our devices, we will have different scenes or different levels. So let's say when we are developing, we have a lot of different scenes, but we don't want all of these scenes to be in our build. Let's say some of the scenes were just test scenes. So we need to manually add some scenes to our build settings or to our build, so that whenever we build that game, we can navigate from one scene to another scene. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm gonna go to File, Build Settings, and as you can see, this test scene I have added previously, but we don't need that. So I'm just gonna select that and press delete to delete it from our hierarchy, from our scenes and build. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add our current scenes or the scenes that I want to load here. So I'm gonna select this scenes folder, and as you can see, we have this level 1 and level 2. So I'm just gonna drag this level 1 from here and drop it right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna drag this level 2 and drop it right there. So as you can see, now I have this level 1 scene and level 2 scenes loaded. Now there's one more important thing. On the right side, as you can see, the level 1 scene says it is 0 and the level 2 scene says it is 1. So this is the index of the scenes. That means every scene or every level has an index. So by that index, we will know which is our first scene, which is our second scene. And while loading the levels, we will also need these level numbers or these indexes. Now if I want to change the index of a scene, I can just drag it and drop it over. So let's say I want the level to be index 0 and level 1 to be index 1, so I just drag and drop it over. Let's say I want to do again the opposite, so I can just drag it and drop it down. So now again our level 1 has been in a position 0 and level 2 is in a position 1. Okay, so remember that if you want to load these scenes, you must add these scenes to your build settings, otherwise they won't work. So now we can cross it out. Now our scenes has been added to the build. So now we can load these scenes and we can actually write our script. So now I can open this scene loader script, and whenever input.getKey keycode.space happens, then we want to load that level. Now if you have an older version of Unity, that is if you have older version than 5.3, then you should do something like application.loadLevel. But as you can see that after Unity 5.3 it has been deprecated, but still I'm gonna show that to you so that you can actually know how to do that. So if you have an older version of Unity, you can just write application.loadLevel, and inside that, let me put it in comments because I'm not going to actually use it because it won't work. So inside this application.loadLevel, you can either put the index number, that is 0, or you can put the name of the scene. Let's say you want to put level 2, so level 2 will be loaded. But in modern versions of Unity, that is Unity 5.3 plus, you need to write scene loader or SceneManager.LoadScene, and then you need to write the index that you want to load the scene from. So you need to write 0, that is it is from index 0, and if you want to load from another number, then you need to write that number here. Whenever I write this SceneManager.LoadScene, it doesn't work. So that means it is in another namespace. Okay, so it is not in current namespace. If you open the Unity scripting API, you can see that it is in Unity Engine.SceneManagement namespace. So we need to use that namespace if we want to use this SceneManager.LoadScene. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to this, right click and copy this, or you can write it manually, and I'm just gonna write using that one, using Unity Engine.SceneManagement. So if you want to use this SceneManager.LoadScene, then you need to use this Unity Engine.SceneManagement namespace. Otherwise you cannot use this because this belongs to this namespace. Okay, so now as you can see here, I have written SceneManager.LoadScene, and then I have passed an index number 0. So that means whenever the space button is pressed, then the 0th indexed level will be loaded. But we want to load, as you can see here, we want to load the level 2, which has an index 1, not index 0. If you take a look at the build settings, the level 2 has an index 1. Okay, so instead of writing 0, we can write index 1. Okay, so now let me come to the Unity editor, and as you can see now we have the level 1 loaded. Now let me go ahead and play the scene, and it takes some time. Okay, now it is in level 1, and whenever I press the space button, you will see that it will go to another level and there will be no text. So 3, 2, 1 space. So now I have pressed the space button, and as you can see from the top here, it says level 2. So level 2 has been loaded. So this is how you can navigate between different scenes. Now another way to do this is this. Here either you can write the index number, or within quotations you can write the name of the level. So let's say I want to write level 2. So now level 2 will be loaded whenever I press this. So now I can just again press the play button, and it is in level 1. So 3, 2, 1, and now it's in level 2. Okay, so these are the two different ways to navigate to different scenes. Now another thing I want to say is that this load scene has another parameter. If I press a comma here, if I write a comma here, as you can see that here we have another parameter which says mode. So this is the mode which actually declares how the scene will be loaded. So there are two different ways by which you can load the scene. One is single and another is additive. So whenever we load a scene in single mode, that means only that scene will be loaded and all other loaded scenes will be unloaded. And when we use the additive, then both of the scenes which we are loading will be loaded in the editor at the same time. So by default the mode is single. So whenever we load a scene, only the single scene is loaded. So let us add additive load scene mode.additive here. So that means now our mode is additive. So now if we have a scene loaded, this scene will be loaded along with that. So now if I'm level 1, and let me press the play button, and now if I press the space button, 3 2 1 space, now as you can see I have the level 1 and level 2 loaded at the same time. Okay, so now since it's additive, so we have these levels actually loaded at the same time. Now there were maybe some places where you want to use these scenes, use this, but in most of the places we want to just use load level mode, load scene mode dot single. Okay, in most of the scenes we use this, so that is why it is by default Unity uses this mode. Okay, so this is it for loading levels and scenes. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. I know it became pretty long, so thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button please, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe so that you can get notified whenever we upload new videos. So thank you very much for watching.